Welcome back to Think and Speak podcast. Today's topic is practical and powerful: how to talk about public transportation in English. Mr. Miller, almost everyone uses buses, trains, or subways, but many learners struggle to explain routes, delays, or ticket problems clearly. Why is this topic so important?
Because transportation is part of daily life. If you travel, study abroad, or work in an international city, you must know how to ask for directions, describe schedules, and explain delays confidently.
So this lesson is not just about vocabulary, but about real-life survival English.
Exactly. We will cover useful phrases, grammar structures, polite questions, and natural expressions that native speakers use every day.
If you have ever felt nervous asking, "Which line should I take?" or "Why is the train delayed?" this episode is for you. Before we begin, press like and comment. I travel in English. Let us build confidence together. Mr. Miller, let us start with the basics. When someone is in a new city and needs to use public transportation, what essential vocabulary and question structures should they know? For example, how can they ask about bus routes, subway lines, ticket prices, and departure times politely and clearly? Could you explain how to use modal verbs like can, could, and should in these situations? Also, please include examples using the present simple tense to describe schedules and routines. Our audience wants to feel confident when asking for information at stations, ticket counters, or bus stops.
Excellent question, Emma. Let us begin with essential vocabulary. Learners should know words such as bus stop, subway station, platform, ticket machine, one-way ticket, round-trip ticket, fare, transfer, route, schedule, delay, and destination. Now let us talk about question structures. When asking for information politely, modal verbs are extremely important. Can, could, and should help soften the request. For example, can you tell me which bus goes downtown? Could you tell me where the subway station is? Should I transfer at the next stop? Grammatically, modal verbs are followed by the base form of the verb. For example, can you help me? Not, can you to help. Should I take this train? Now let us use the present simple tense to describe schedules. Public transportation schedules are considered fixed timetables, so we use present simple. The train leaves at 8:30. The bus arrives every 15 minutes. The subway runs until midnight. Notice the subject-verb agreement. The bus arrives. The trains arrive. You can also ask about time. What time does the train leave? How often does the bus come? Structure. WH word plus does plus subject plus base verb. For example, when does the next train arrive? In daily conversation, short questions are also common. Is this the right platform? Does this bus go to the airport? Politeness phrases are important. Excuse me. Thank you. I appreciate your help. By combining vocabulary, modal verbs, and present simple structures, learners can confidently ask for directions, clarify routes, and understand transportation systems in any English-speaking city.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Now let us imagine a different situation. Sometimes transportation does not go as planned. Trains are delayed, buses are cancelled, or there are technical problems. How can learners explain these situations clearly in English? Could you explain how to use the present continuous tense for current problems and the past simple tense to describe what happened earlier? Please provide practical examples and useful phrases that travelers can use when speaking to station staff or other passengers. Our viewers want to sound calm and confident when dealing with unexpected transportation issues.
That is a very realistic scenario, Emma. Transportation problems happen everywhere. Let us begin with the present continuous tense. We use present continuous, am/is/are plus verb ing, to describe actions happening right now. For example, the train is not moving. We are waiting for the next bus. They are repairing the tracks. These sentences describe ongoing situations. Now let us look at the past simple tense to describe completed events. Structure: subject plus past verb. The train was delayed this morning. The bus broke down. I missed my stop. Notice irregular verbs. Break, broke. Miss, missed. When explaining a problem, learners can say, "Excuse me, the train is not arriving on time. The announcement said the bus was cancelled. I was waiting for 30 minutes. You can also combine tenses. I was waiting at the station when the train was cancelled. Here, was waiting is past continuous, and was cancelled is past simple passive voice. Useful phrases include, there seems to be a delay. Is there an alternative route? When will the next train arrive? Future predictions are also helpful. They will announce the new schedule soon. By using present continuous for current issues and past simple for completed problems, learners can clearly explain transportation challenges. Clear grammar reduces stress and increases confidence in real-life communication.
Mr. Miller, let us talk about giving directions using public transportation. If someone asks, "How do I get to the museum by bus or subway?" How can learners respond clearly and logically? Could you explain how to use imperatives for instructions and sequencing words like first, then, and after that? Please include practical examples and explain why imperatives use the base form of the verb. Our audience wants to give clear, step-by-step instructions without confusion.
Excellent question, Emma. Giving directions requires clarity and structure. First, understand imperatives. Imperative sentences use the base form of the verb and give instructions. For example, take the number 5 bus. Get off at the 3rd stop. Transfer to the blue line. There is no subject written, but the subject is understood as you. Now let us structure directions logically using sequencing words. First, take the subway to Central Station. Then, transfer to the green line. After that, get off at Park Street. Finally, walk 2 blocks to the museum. Sequencing words organize information and make instructions easier to follow. You can also use conditional sentences. If you miss the bus, take a taxi. This is a first conditional structure. If plus present simple, imperative, or future action. Another example. If the train is full, wait for the next one. Polite instruction. You should take the express train. You can buy a ticket at the machine. Modal verbs soften the tone. In real conversation, clarity is key. Take the bus heading north. Make sure you get off at the correct stop. Make sure is a common expression used for emphasis. By using imperatives, sequencing words, modal verbs, and conditional structures, learners can give clear and confident directions. This skill is essential for travel, daily commuting, and helping others navigate a city successfully.
Mr. Miller, many learners also need to talk about their daily commute in English, especially in professional or academic settings. For example, during small talk at work, someone might ask, "How do you usually get to work?" Or, "How long does your commute take?" How can learners answer these questions naturally and fluently? Could you explain how to use the present simple tense to describe routines and the adverbs of frequency such as usually, often, rarely, and always? Please provide practical examples that learners can use in job interviews, classroom discussions, or casual conversations. Our audience wants to describe their commuting habits clearly and confidently without making grammar mistakes.
That is an excellent and very practical question, Emma. Talking about your daily commute is common in both professional and casual conversations. Let us begin with the present simple tense, which we use to describe routines and habitual actions. The structure of the present simple is subject plus base verb, add s for third person singular. For example, I take the subway every morning. She drives to work. They use the bus. Notice subject-verb agreement. He takes the train. The bus arrives at 8 a.m. Now let us include adverbs of frequency. These words describe how often something happens. Common adverbs include always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, and never. Adverbs of frequency usually come before the main verb. I usually take the bus. She often rides her bike. They rarely use taxis. However, with the verb to be, the adverb comes after the verb. I am always on time. The trains are often crowded. Here are practical answers learners can use. Question: how do you usually get to work? Answer: I usually take the subway because it is faster than driving. Question: how long does your commute take? Answer: it takes about 40 minutes in the morning, but it sometimes takes longer during rush hour. Notice the structure. It takes plus time expression. You can also compare transportation methods using comparatives. The train is cheaper than a taxi. The bus is slower than the subway. In professional settings, clarity is important. I commute by train every day. It arrives at 7:30, and I get to the office by 8:15. By mastering present simple, adverbs of frequency, and time expressions, learners can confidently discuss commuting habits in interviews, meetings, and daily small talk.
Mr. Miller, sometimes people want to compare transportation systems between cities or countries. For example, someone might say, "Public transportation in my city is more reliable than in other places." How can learners express comparisons and opinions effectively? Could you explain how to use comparative and superlative adjectives correctly when talking about buses, trains, and subways? Please include examples using adjectives such as fast, cheap, crowded, and convenient. Also explain how to structure opinion sentences politely using phrases like "I think," "in my opinion," and "it seems that." Our audience wants to express ideas clearly without sounding too direct or too informal.
Wonderful question, Emma. Comparing transportation systems is common in conversations, especially when traveling or studying abroad. Let us begin with comparative adjectives. We use comparatives to compare two things. For short adjectives, add plus than, faster than, cheaper than. For longer adjectives, use more plus adjective. More convenient than, more reliable than. Examples: the subway is faster than the bus. Trains are cheaper than taxis. Public transportation is more convenient than driving. This system is more reliable than the one in my hometown. Now let us look at superlatives, which compare three or more things. For short adjectives, the plus adjective plus est. The fastest. The cheapest. For longer adjectives, the most plus adjective. The most convenient. The most efficient. Examples: the subway is the fastest way to travel in the city. This is the most convenient transportation system I have used. The morning train is the most crowded. Now let us discuss opinion phrases. To sound polite and balanced, use "I think that," "in my opinion," "it seems that," "I believe that." For example, in my opinion, public transportation is more environmentally friendly than driving. I think the bus system is improving. It seems that trains are becoming more modern. Notice that after these phrases, we use a full clause. I think that the subway is faster. Avoid sounding too direct by softening statements. I think it could be more efficient. It seems a bit crowded during rush hour. By mastering comparative and superlative forms and using polite opinion phrases, learners can express ideas confidently and professionally. This makes conversations about public transportation more structured, balanced, and natural.
Mr. Miller, in big cities, people often need to ask for clarification when they do not understand announcements or directions in public transportation systems. For example, announcements in train stations can be fast and unclear. How can learners politely ask someone to repeat information or clarify details? Could you explain how to use indirect questions such as, "Could you tell me where the train is going?" instead of direct questions like, "Where is the train going?" Please explain the grammar structure of indirect questions and why word order changes. Our audience wants to sound polite and professional when speaking to transportation staff or fellow passengers.
That is a very important communication skill, Emma. When using public transportation, clarity is essential. If you do not understand something, asking politely can prevent confusion. Let us first look at indirect questions. A direct question might be, "Where is the train going?" However, in formal or polite situations, we often use indirect questions. The structure is, Introductory phrase plus subject plus verb, statement word order. For example, could you tell me where the train is going? Notice the difference. In the direct question, we invert the subject and verb. Where is the train going? But in the indirect question, we return to normal word order. Where the train is going. Another example. Direct, when does the bus arrive? Indirect, do you know when the bus arrives? Structure, do you know plus WH word plus subject plus base verb, or verb with S for third person. We do not say, do you know when does the bus arrive? That is incorrect because indirect questions follow statement word order. Polite introductory phrases include, could you tell me? Do you know? I was wondering if. Would you mind telling me? For example, would you mind telling me which platform the train leaves from? Could you explain why the bus is delayed? You can also ask for repetition. Could you please repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you speak more slowly? These phrases use modal verbs such as could and would, which soften the request and make it polite. Mastering indirect questions improves professionalism and politeness. In transportation settings, it helps learners communicate clearly, respectfully, and confidently.
Mr. Miller, let us talk about future travel plans using public transportation. If someone wants to explain their travel arrangements, such as taking a train tomorrow or flying next week, which future tense structure should they use? Could you explain the difference between going to, will, and the present continuous for future plans? Please include examples related specifically to transportation. Our viewers want to describe schedules, intentions, and spontaneous decisions accurately.
Excellent topic, Emma. Talking about future travel plans requires understanding three key future forms: going to, will, and present continuous. First, going to is used for planned intentions. The structure is subject plus am slash is slash are plus going to plus base verb. For example, I am going to take the train tomorrow. She is going to buy a monthly pass. They are going to travel by bus next week. We use going to when the decision has already been made. Second, will is used for spontaneous decisions, promises, or predictions. Structure: subject plus will plus base verb. For example, I will take a taxi. Decision made at the moment. I think the train will be late. Prediction: I will call the station for information. Promise. Third, present continuous can describe fixed arrangements in the near future. This is common with transportation because schedules are often arranged. Structure: subject plus am slash is slash are plus verb ing. For example, I am taking the 8 a.m. train tomorrow. She is flying to London next week. We are meeting at the bus station at 6. The difference is subtle but important. I am going to take the train. Intention: I am taking the train. Arranged plan: ticket likely purchased. I will take the train. Decision made now. In conversation, learners can combine time expressions. I am leaving at 7 a.m. We are catching the subway after work. I will check the schedule tonight. Understanding these future forms allows learners to speak clearly about travel arrangements, schedules, and decisions. This grammar knowledge helps them communicate confidently in both personal and professional contexts involving public transportation.